Welcome to a new episode of Books and Beyond from the Winter Park Library, recorded live in the recording studio at the library in beautiful Winter Park, Florida. In Books and Beyond, we have conversations with writers, musicians, artists, presenters, and other contributors. Most of our guests have appeared live at the Winter Park Library or will be presenting soon. We hope you'll subscribe to the Books and Beyond podcast and that you'll stay up to date with library goings-on at winterparklibrary.org/events. That's winterparklibrary.org/events. I'm Michael Werner, and I'll be your host for our interviews. Enjoy the show. Hello out there, library patrons, readers, and smart people everywhere. This is Michael Werner, your host for the Books and Beyond podcast at the beautiful Winter Park Library. And we have a wonderful guest today. We're here in the studio, the recording studio at the Winter Park Library. And we have a wonderful guest with us today, Nina Streich. Her background is in documentaries and in creating trailers for movies and other film projects. Just has an incredible background. She's been Deputy Commissioner for Films of New York City. She's done lots of things in the arts, and we're just incredibly happy to have her with us today. So welcome, Nina.
Well, thank you, Michael, and it's wonderful to be with you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
And wonderful to be in the library, as always.
Isn't it a great spot?
Fabulous.
Yeah, it's a great little library.
Inside and outside.
Yeah, exactly. That reminds me, I will encourage everybody, if you'd like to know what's going on here, it's amazing what goes on here, Nina,
yes.
at the library. There's over 100 events a year, and you're taking a few of them this month.
We have a few events coming up
next
week.
A few events coming up. Nina is the executive director.
I was the executive director. I'm now the founder and festival director.
She's now the founder and festival director of the Global Peace Film Festival. So that's why we're here talking about that. When does that start?
It starts not at the library, but at Enzian Theater on Tuesday, the 17th of September.
Okay.
With a fabulous film, a documentary called Following Harry about Harry Belafonte. And then continues on Wednesday at Bush Auditorium at Rollins College, and then Thursday through Saturday at both Bush Auditorium, and that's when we come here.
Okay. And I jumped ahead a little bit. Didn't mean to. I'm just so excited to talk about the film festival. Tell us about your background. I mean, where did you grow up? Where did you come from? Film. Why did that become such a big part of your life?
Well, I was born in New York City. I grew up in London, England.
Interesting.
Moved there when I was 9, moved back to New York when I was 23, and started my career in London. Continued then my career really took off when I came back to New York.
One of your parents was working there? Is that what took you there? Or?
My father moved there for work, and my parents stayed. I came back, and then my parents came back, and then they went back to England. My sister still lives in England. I say about my family that my parents had 2 only children because they had 1 English and 1 American.
Okay.
And that was when I actually started in film editing when I was a teenager. I worked in a cutting room as an apprentice. And by the time I graduated from high school, I was ready to get a job, but my parents insisted that I went to university, so I did, but continued
in
England.
Yeah.
Sussex University.
Uh-huh.
My degree is in a very helpful subject, French literature, and the literature is wonderful, but it doesn't do much for a career.
Is that in Brighton?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, actually, it's outside of Brighton, and it's in a little town called Falmer.
Okay.
Which is right outside of Brighton. So I lived in Brighton. I actually lived in Hove, which is adjacent the other way. Wonderful place to spend a few years of your life. So anyway, I worked in cutting rooms when I moved to the States. I started working in cutting rooms, but also working in public access television. I went to a workshop, and we were able to produce all our own stuff, and that got me into starting to do my own documentaries, little films about things that I cared about. But my career, I got a job as an assistant editor, and then became the editor in a trailer company. So the first film that I cut the trailer and the TVs was American Gigolo.
Okay.
And went on to cut trailers and television and electronic press kits and various other marketing material for over 50 major studio features and a smaller number of independent features, including Scandal, what people have heard of. Mostly the independent features are not things that most people will have heard of. But I was always an activist. I always was working on demonstrations against nuclear weapons, for women's issues. I actually started, my first demonstrations were in London, where I went, when I was about 11 years old, I went to a march to save the whales.
Okay.
So it's been part of my life the whole time. So when I had the opportunity to do a Global Peace Film Festival, it was like, wow, this is
what a major intersection, right?
Exactly.
Of
that
your
was
interest in
that
life
was the
back then.
intersection.
Yeah.
What led me to that, because you mentioned the deputy film commissioner, I got into politics because I was an event producer and was asked to produce an event for Michael Dukakis, actually, in 1987, and became his New York State, the head fundraiser for New York State, co-head fundraiser. We had a partner in that. And that led me into the Dinkins campaign. And when Dinkins won the election, David Dinkins is the first black mayor of New York City. I was able to. I was appointed the deputy film commissioner, which was an absolute amazing job.
Well, it sounds like, I mean, you're a rare person. I mean, everybody's a rare person, I guess, but you're rare in that you had these passions and they just came together as a career. I mean, you probably didn't think of it that way when you were 15 doing your first documentary or whatever.
When I was about, how old was I? When I was about 35, I was like, I talked to a career counselor and said, I have this complete mess of a career. And I did this and I did this and I did this. And she goes, that's amazing.
Right.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
It all comes together. I mean, that was before the Global Peace Film Festival, which does bring my my ideological beliefs together with, my career and love of film and love of media.
And before we get into the specifics of the film festival itself, how do you define, or how does the film festival itself define peace? I mean, what does that mean?
Well,
I know what it means, of course, but well, I don't totally know what it means. Help me out.
Well, actually, we allow the audience to define that for themselves. We want you to find what peace means to you. We don't want to tell you what to think, how to define peace. It's like we have a very broad, I wouldn't even call it a definition, but we look at peace very broadly, from within each and every one of us to within our families, in our communities, within our city, state, country, the world.
So it could be inner peace. It's not necessarily wars.
Always, absolutely. And actually, when I was actually hired to create the festival in 2003 when the Iraq War started, and because the festival was supposed to be, about the war, but called Global Peace, I decided I did not want to do a film festival that focused on war and peace issues. I wanted to do a festival that looked for what would a world at peace be? What would a world? How do we get to peace? So, what we really look for is films that engage people to do things to make their world a better place. What somebody else chooses to do may not be what I would ever choose to do. That's their choice, and it's all about finding your passion to do something that makes your world a better place, and hopefully leave the world better than you found it.
Okay. And how did it get to? How was it established here in Winter Park, or here in Florida? I'm sorry, here in Orlando area.
Well, as I
you're
said,
from New York, and
yeah,
you're
as I said, I was hired to create it, and
Yeah.
the person who hired me had business interest in Orlando. actually, he was insistent that the festival would be in Orlando proper.
Okay.
But he went out of business literally before the first festival,
Okay.
leaving me holding the bag. and for the first couple of years, I did keep it in Orlando because that's where the very first year was at the Cineplex at City Walk. When I came back to do the second year in 2004, with absolutely nothing, I found what was then the Downtown Media Arts Center, DMAC, in the Rogers Building. It's now City Arts.
Mm-hmm.
They had just set up their screening room, and I worked out an arrangement with them. That was, as DMAC, it was owned and run by UCF. And so I made an arrangement with them to use the theater upstairs for the festival, and it was a teeny tiny festival, but it was like that was how I figured out how to survive. And I had when I started coming down here, because when I was hired I didn't know the area code, so I really started from nothing. I drove around and looked at everything, and when I saw the Rollins College campus, I was like, this would be a fabulous place to do. When I saw the Enzian Theater, I was like, oh my gosh, that's the best place. That would be the best place for the festival. And over time now, that's where we are. And the library, we've been showing films at the library, I think for 15 years now.
Wow.
Something like that.
Okay. So we're almost from the beginning.
Yeah, from very early. And, we started at Rollins in 2006. And we also had still had places downtown in Orlando. Mm-hmm. And gradually it's moved more to be, more of the films have been shown in Winter Park.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, let's talk about this year's festival. I think you said there's over 20 films, 22
21 films. 22 films. Yes, you're right.
Mm-hmm. And you started talking about some of them, and I interrupted you to take you back to the beginning of time. Just in general, talk about some of those films that you have this year.
Well, they're mostly documentaries.
Okay.
Actually, I think here they're all documentaries. One of the exciting things is many of the filmmakers are coming, and not only the filmmakers, but for some of the films, the main people in the films are actually coming to answer questions from the audience
during the screenings,
after the film.
At the screening itself.
Yes, at the screening after the film plays.
Wonderful. And
actually on Saturday at the library, we have 4 different films, and I think we just heard from one.
And that would be the 21st.
That's the 21st, which is also the International Day of Peace.
Oh, wonderful.
So, which is why the festival originally, the first one was in December, but I moved it when I started meeting different, college, working with colleges and working with Rollins. Mm-hmm. That was when I moved it to September, because December is not a good time for schools.
Okay.
It's not a good time for to be doing something that is perceived as serious.
Yes.
Although in terms of our programming, we always look for films that have a lightness to them. We look for comedy films about peace. And actually we have one here playing at the library called No One Asked You, which follows Liz Winstead, one of the co-founders of The Daily Show, and her Abortion Access League, as they basically support abortion clinics in red states. And we do have somebody, not in person, but the director of that film is planning to join us via Zoom to answer questions from the audience.
Okay.
But I started to talk about Saturday at the library because we have some amazing films, but also every single one of them has every single one of them is going to have at least one of the filmmakers here in person.
Okay. To
answer questions and to talk to the audience, and I know they'll.
Oh, that's incredible.
Yeah. So, and they're very diverse. The first one is called Cut Our Stars, which is about the country, girls in the country of Qatar. And it's about a school that teaches rhythmic gymnastics. So it's actually the first film about girls in Qatar, the first documentary about films in Qatar.
Wow.
So, but also it's, it has these young girls learning rhythmic gymnastics. That's a tongue twister. And I'm hoping that we'll be able to connect with. So far, we haven't. If they hear from us, please get in touch with us. There's a rhythmic gymnastics school in in the area. I'm not sure if it's in Winter Park or might be in Maitland.
Okay.
But we'd love to welcome them, and so the director of the film is going to be here.
Okay, and that is on the 17th.
That's the 21st.
Oh,
this is all Saturday. Saturday the 21st.
Correct, yeah.
And
by the way, let me jump in, Nina, real quickly.
Yeah.
If anybody's interested in your schedule, I guess best place to go is your website.
peacefilmfest.org.
peacefilmfest.org. And you can also find events, and I'm not sure if all the films are listed in the Winter Park Library's directory or not, but you can check it. It's winterparklibrary.org/events. Jeremy, I'm going to talk to our producer offline here, online. Do you think they're listed in the schedule? The Winter Park Library schedule?
It's
Nina can answer.
they're on the day in the schedule. They are Global Peace Film Festival is listed, and then you have to click further to get the specifics.
Okay.
And but there's something else to add, which is anybody who buys are we allowed to talk price?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Anybody who buys our tickets are $10, and anybody who buys a ticket online. On the Winter Park Library website, there is a code that for everybody who buys a ticket using that code, $5 of your $10 ticket price will be donated to the library.
Okay.
From the Global Peace Film Festival.
Fantastic.
So
We like that.
I will see if I can find the code so we can mention it here.
Please do.
Let's see, that'll take me a second. Okay, I got it.
Okay, what is it?
The code is LPAW 24.
LPAW 24.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
And that's capital letters.
Okay.
And so you enter that. It says have a discount code, and while it's not a discount for the purchaser, it does give a $5 donation to the library for every $10 ticket sold.
Wonderful. Oh my goodness, Nina! What does that mean? I think it's time.
Oh no!
Yeah, I know. Oh no! It's time. If you're willing, it's time for rapid fire Q&A, and I have a random set of questions, just picked randomly out of the universe of questions. I'm going to ask Nina some questions here. Short answer questions, just to help us get to know you a little bit better.
Okay.
And we'll randomly find a question here. This is probably the worst question to ask you because I think I already know the answer to this. But it says, if you hadn't followed the career path that you have had in documentaries, films, film festivals, et cetera, what do you think you might have done?
I probably would have stayed in politics.
Okay. As a politician or?
No, I'm a behind-the-scenes person, so I would have. Events are like hugely intense. Political campaigns are hugely intense. It might not have been for a candidate. It might have been for a cause.
Okay.
Like one of the amendments or something like that.
Yeah. Okay.
I think that's what I probably would have stuck to.
Okay. Next question. What's the best advice you've ever received?
Oh, goodness. Be true to yourself.
Okay. What's your favorite food?
Chocolate.
Okay. That's high up on a lot of people's list. And I'm only going to ask you this question because you are born and kind of raised, but now live in New York. Best place for pizza in New York City?
I stopped eating pizza because it's not good for you. It's refined flour, there's sugar, there's dairy,
it's terrible,
and
but
everything.
you love it, right?
But my favorite pizza place isn't there anymore.
Okay.
And it was Ray's Pizza down in the West Village on 9th Street and 6th Avenue.
Yeah. Okay.
Besides that, I really can't answer better.
Okay. Do you have a favorite movie?
I have so many favorite movies. It's really hard for.
What pops to mind?
um, I like thing.
I mean, it could be documented. It could be nonfiction. Could be.
Well, All the President's Men is one of my favorites. There's a group of films by Sidney Pollack did some amazing films in the 70s that I really like, and I'm blanking on titles. But
Okay.
I also like Apollo 13, Ron Howard's film. There are films that I can watch over and over and over again. Another like oddball choice is oh gosh, what is the title? It's with Tim Allen, and it's the space movie, and it's a send up of like Star Wars and Star Trek.
I don't know that. I know Tim Allen. I
And
don't know that.
and then there's another oddball one, Blast from the Past, which is with I'm blanking, but
okay.
I
No problem.
tons, and I'm not naming any documentaries because there are just too many.
Okay, understand. What's something they don't teach in school but should?
Oh, well, they sort of teach it, and they really should teach it extensively as civics.
Okay. What's a character trait that you admire in others?
Honesty.
It's a great one. Is there some place that you've never been that's still on the list that you got to get there?
You're gonna laugh at this one.
Okay.
Papua New Guinea.
Okay. Okay. I'm not laughing. I think that's fascinating. Do you have a particular reason for that?
I just think looks amazing. And another one is the Kelabit Highlands in Borneo,
Okay.
where one of my university friends from England, she's an anthropologist, and she's done her studies there, and she and her husband, obviously longtime friends of mine, they still live in England, invite me when they go because she still continues her research there.
Couple more, if you're willing and
Okay.
able. What advice would you give to yourself if you could go back and talk to the 20-year-old Nina?
Plan for retirement better.
Yeah, I think I'm of that age as well, Nina, so I kind of relate to that question. And my last question, again, it's another New Yorker question: Yankees or Mets?
I used to be when I first moved back to New York, I was a Yankees fan. That was
Yeah.
in the Reggie Jackson, Thurman Munson days.
Yeah, those were fun years.
I got so mad at George Steinbrenner that I forget the Yankees.
Yeah.
You can cheer for the Mets as an underdog. My parents, when they moved back to the States, moved to Baltimore, so there's a little bit of Orioles in me.
Okay. Yeah.
Not really. And baseball, I was a tennis player as a teenager, tournament tennis player. And so tennis is my sports passion. Baseball doesn't do it for me as much as it used to.
Okay.
And I'm so happy that real football, not American football,
Yeah,
having
yeah.
grown up in England,
Sure.
is ascending here because soccer is a beautiful game to watch.
That's what we have on the Rapid Fire Q&A. Thank you very much for playing along with us there. Help us get to know you a little bit better. We're here with Nina Streich from the Global Peace Film Festival. So let's go back to the film festival and talk more about it.
And we were saying, information.
Before we were rudely interrupted by that sound.
Yes, indeed. So anyway, I was talking about the films on Saturday, all of which have filmmakers here with us. And at 2:30 we have a film. It's actually listed as a sneak preview because their world premiere has not happened yet, and they have been. They are their world premiere should be at a major film festival, and we're just a little film festival. But we've had a previous film of theirs here with Global Peace, and it was very it was very successful for them and for us. And so they wanted us to be able to show this film, so we had to call it a sneak preview. But it's about Lewy body dementia and caregivers who care for their spouses with Lewy body dementia. And we're thrilled that we have not only the filmmakers here, but also Sue Bowder, who's the executive director of Central Florida Lewy Body, which coordinates and organizes support groups for people with Lewy body dementia, which is actually the second most leading dementia, but is it is hard to diagnose.
I wasn't aware of that. Yeah.
Robin Williams, post-mortem, it was found that the problem that he had that led to his suicide was that he had Lewy body dementia that was rapidly taking over his brain.
Wow.
So, so the filmmakers are coming. Sue will be here. We hope that other caregivers of other dementias will find this helpful.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And so very pleased to have that film. The next one is a film called Public Defender. And it's about a Washington, D.C. area public defender, a liberal woman with dyed blue hair.
I think I saw her on your website.
Yes, there's a picture. And she's given January 6th cases to defend.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. Okay.
And really, there's a lot of humor in the film, but also it's very interesting because, her as much as she and these clients are diametrically opposed politically, it's important for all of us to find the humanity in each other. That's how, we're so polarized at the moment.
No,
and
absolutely.
People look at, don't look at people with completely opposing points of view as people.
Yeah.
And so this film really shows that. And so
I would like to see that one. Yeah. And that's here at the library.
That's here at the library, 4:30 on Saturday. And then the final film at the library is called Our Movement Starts Here, and it's about the birth of the environmental justice movement in North Carolina. And one of the activists who the film is about, Reverend William Kearney, will be here with us, as will the director.
Okay.
So excited about that. So that's the Saturday lineup with people from.
That's phenomenal.
With speakers, with participants of the films to interact with audiences here. So we hope people will come out and see those. And there's there's two films on Thursday. The first one is about homelessness.
Okay.
The second one is the one I mentioned earlier, No One Asked You, which is about the Liz Winstead and the Abortion Action League.
Yes.
And actually, I think they're the Abortion Action Front, not League. I think I got the name wrong. And then on Friday, we have two other lovely films. Happy Campers at 6:00 on Friday here at the library is about this summer retreat, a trailer park basically that the filmmaker went to and fell in love with, just got a camper there herself, and then a developer bought the land because it's in, I think it's Virginia, and it's on the coast, and it's a wonderful idyllic sort of seaside resort. It's not a resort. It's this working class resort basically.
Okay.
And a developer buys it, and they're all going to have to move. So the filmmaker, captured their last summer at this place, and it's just a really beautiful observational documentary with just amazing characters.
And that's on Thursday?
That's on Friday.
Friday. What date is that? The 20th?
September 20th,
September
yes.
20th, okay.
At 6 p.m. And then Resurrecting Love, the movie, is at 8 p.m. And that is a film about slave cemeteries that at which the descendants are not allowed access to their ancestors' graves, and fighting for the descendants to be able to have access to the cemeteries.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. How do you find your films?
Multiple.
Or how do they find you?
And that's a great way of putting it, because we find some of them find us. There's a film festivals now use websites that both filmmakers and film festivals sign up for.
Sort of a database of...
Exactly.
Yeah.
And basically you put out your call for entries, and part of the service of the website is to put out, to announce calls for entry. And so we get submissions from around the world. We had about 250 submissions this year, from which we are showing 21 films. Not all of them are from submissions, because we also go to film festivals. And fortunately for myself and our head programmer, Kelly Devine, we live in New York. So the Tribeca Film Festival, the timing in terms of programming is really good for us, because we're just wrapping up our submission process when Tribeca happens. And so 3 of the films we have in the festival, including our opening night film, Following Harry, came out of Tribeca. In fact, last year's opening night film also came out of Tribeca. And then we have a couple of others that we got from Tribeca. And then we are on mailing lists from other film festivals. We see what's at other film festivals. We're a small festival with a very small budget, so traveling to film festivals, we can pay this. It doesn't cost anything to travel to New York, because I'm already there.
Sure.
But traveling to other film festivals is expensive. I'm actually on the jury of a film festival called the Nepal America International Film Festival, and that's in D.C. And we have 2 films that were shown at that film festival.
Okay.
So, which was later in June. Tribeca's in June. Nepal America International Film Festival is also in June. So the 2 films from Nepal, from that film festival, one is from Nepal, one's from Mexico, are on something that we haven't mentioned yet, which is our Free-for-All Shorts program that follows the week, the in-person week. It's a week of virtual screenings, so it's all the films are online. There are 41 films in this year's Free-for-All Shorts program, and again, they will all be available on our website, peacefilmfest.org, starting Monday, September 23rd, and running through Sunday, September 29th. The thumbnails that describe the films will be on the website any day now. It's a lot of programming, computer programming. But you won't be able to click through to see the films until the 23rd. And on the 30th, you won't be able to see them anymore. So
got to do it during that.
Got to do it
stretch,
during that week.
Yeah.
And we just get so many good submissions that we wish we could fit in the in-person festival, but there's only so much time.
Sure.
So we started doing the online adjunct to the festival back in 2012.
Okay.
So when the pandemic hit, we were fortunate that not only was I already working virtually because I live in New York and run the festival down here, but also because we were already doing an online festival, so or an online part of the festival.
Yeah.
So that's another thing for people to enjoy, and not only people here, but all the films are available worldwide.
Okay. As we wrap up here, I want to say something to you, Nina, and then I'm going to ask you if you have any final comments.
Okay.
Man, oh man, what a great job you have! I'm not envious of many people's jobs, really, because I love what I do as a writer, basically. But I have to admit, you've got a fun job. I mean, you watch movies and eat popcorn all day, right?
Well, I try not to eat too much popcorn.
Do you have anything else you want to share with us before we wrap up?
I think the most important thing is go to our website, peacefilmfest.org, and please come see some of these films. Support the festival, support the library by using that code that I gave.
Yeah,
you.
That's great. That's great.
We're actually, if I can say something about the code, about the donation of $5. Many people, many different organizations have their unique codes because we're a community-based organization. We work collaboratively with so many organizations. As the Central Florida Lewy Body is one of the organizations. They have their unique code, so that we're donating $5 for every ticket that they sell back to Central Florida Lewy Body.
Mm-hmm.
And many other organizations, the Peace and Justice Institute, the League of Women Voters of Orange County, many other organizations that we we program films that apply to those that are relevant to those organizations, but we want to show them some support, and that's why we give $5, give 50% of the ticket sales to them.
Like it. It makes sense, and
Yeah.
it makes other people happy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Nina, it has been really nice getting to know you and having you here and learning about the film festival. So I wanted to say again, thank you very much, Nina Streich, for being with us from the Global Peace Film Festival. That's a bit of a tongue twister for me. I have to kind of go slowly. Global Peace Film Festival. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Michael. It's been a pleasure to be with you.
Thank you. Thanks for joining us for another episode of Books and Beyond from the Winter Park Library. This podcast would not be possible without the generous help and support from the library staff, and especially from Jeremy Zorn. Jeremy's official title is Public Services Librarian, but he does many things here at the library, including producing this podcast. We can't do this without you, Jeremy. Our theme music is from the song Don't Go by Bovine Joe and the Buffalo Herd. That's Herd spelled H-E-A-R-D. We hope you'll let your friends and others know about this podcast and that you'll come by the library for one of our offerings, which you can find at winterparklibrary.org/events. That's winterparklibrary.org/events. If you have questions or suggestions for the podcast or just want to talk about Books and Beyond, please send an email to podcast@winterparklibrary.org. That's an email to podcast@winterparklibrary.org. Remember that the Winter Park Library promotes the free and open exchange of ideas and does not attempt to control or take responsibility for any opinions that may be expressed in this podcast. Opinions expressed in this podcast do not constitute or imply an endorsement or a reflection of the library's policies or beliefs. This is Michael Werner, wishing you well until our next episode of Books and Beyond.